Welcome back. Today we're going to create a website from scratch, and this time we're going to start in Photoshop. While Photoshop may not be the ideal piece of software for designing interfaces and websites and things like that, it is the piece of software that most people will have when they come into this area, when they come into this field. So we're going to use Photoshop, and we're going to mock up our website. Well, not really mock up, we're actually going to achieve the full design in Photoshop. Things may change once we get to HTML and CSS, and that's usually how I do things, but we're going to start in Photoshop, create the website in Photoshop, and we're not going to do the whole slicing and exporting and stuff like that because that is a terrible route to take. We are going to design in Photoshop on a 960 grid, and I'll explain that in a little bit, and then we are going to just take the design and pretty much translate all that stuff into HTML and CSS using the 960 grid CSS framework. So the first thing you want to do is go over to 960.js, and the big old download button, you want to click on that and download it. Now what this is, let's see if we can, I don't know where the demo is. But anyway, what it is it's a CSS framework that just makes our lives so much easier. All you have to do is define like how wide you want a column to be, and it sets everything else up for you. And I know that doesn't really sound helpful at all, but I'll explain it to you as we go. So go ahead and download that. Just click the big old download button. And in our folder here, you'll see that we have templates, sketch sheets, logo files, licenses, code, and applicants. We're going to go to templates here, and we're going to grab the Photoshop one. And for this tutorial, I'm going to be using the 16 column. Now keep in mind it is still going to be 960 pixels wide. It's just divided up into more columns. So we're going to take that, and then we're going to go to the code and the CSS, and we're going to take the 960 16 column CSS as well. And here you can view some of the demos, and I'll do that to show you exactly what we're doing. So this is what it is. It's predefined columns that we can apply to our containers and things using classes. And it literally makes the designing, the developing life just so much easier. And that's the awesome thing about coming into this field in our time. It's just the resources, it's great. So if you look in the page source here, you'll see what we have here. The class is container 12, which means it's applying the 12 column container. And then like the first one is grid 12. That means it will expand the whole 12 columns. So if you look in here, 940 pixels, that's because we have 10 pixels and 10 pixels margin on the sides. So it expands the whole 12 columns, and you can see in the background a visualization of the columns. Next we have grid 1 and grid 11. Now that means we have a single column, and then we have 11 columns. And that's simple. So down here we have something a little different. We have the single column, and then we have this blank space out through here. So how they achieved that, see if I can come back here and find it. Here we are. Grid 1 suffix 11. Now if you know what a suffix is, it makes sense. It's after what we've already defined. So it's going to add 11 columns after the grid. But these don't have to actually, these are just blank spaces pretty much. And then we have grid 1 prefix 1, so it comes before the grid, and suffix 10, so it's going to equal 11 total with the one column. So we have the 1 here, the blank space, and then we have the blank space out through there. Cool beans, right? It's pretty cool. And these are just the 16, and nothing really important there. So that's what we're going to be doing. So once you have that, grab those files out of it that I showed you, and we should have something like, let me find it here. Here I have the 16 column CSS and the 16 column PSD, and I have 3 icons that I downloaded that we're going to use in this design, or I'm going to use in this design. And I'll show you really quickly where you can grab icons like this that are free, and so many of them, it's updated often, and it's an awesome resource. Come to the browser and then go icon monster with no e.com, and this is it. Just focuses strongly and only on icons, and it's a really nice resource for web design because they're all vector, or they offer vector downloads. They also offer PNG downloads, and you pretty much can find anything, and they're all really clean, sleek, modern. So it's an awesome resource. So make sure you bookmark that or whatever it is you do. So then we're going to come into Photoshop. Well, no, we're not. We're not going to come into Photoshop. We're going to go back to our downloads folder, or our website folder here, and I'm going to open up the PSD that we're going to be using. And that's what we get. We get these transparent backgrounds, or the transparent columns in the backgrounds. Multiple backgrounds. And this is what we build on. So we go View, Show, Guides. We can see that they've already set up all these guides for us, so we can easily snap to with our shapes and things like that. When we come to the layers, nothing special here, just the colored columns and a background image. So we're going to build upon this. And the reason we're doing that way we can have a visualization of how many columns and things like that we're going to be using for our design. So like we have a logo that expands 3 columns. We know in our CSS to use a grid 3 and then a grid 21. Simple, or we're not using 24 grid, then we'd use a grid 13 to expand out through there. And that's why we're designing it using the PSD. So that's pretty much all the explanation that is needed thus far. So I guess we can go ahead and get started with what we're going to be doing. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a few folders. So we want to keep these organized. The first one we're going to call header. Second one we're going to call body, or something like that. And then we have a footer. Now in these folders we're going to have subfolders and things like that, but we'll get to that when we need those. For now though, we're going to start in the header folder, and we're just going to create a new, let me get rid of this layer. We're going to create a new layer inside of the header folder, and it's going to be our logo. So I already have an idea in mind for the kind of website I'm going to be creating. It's just going to be a simple, fun website. Nothing I would ever actually create. So I'm going to start up here, and it's going to be a text logo, and it's going to be called book.me. It's going to be a bookmarking website like all those other ones out there. And let's see what I want it to, like 60 maybe. And I'm going to make it Arial and black. I'm going to give it a dark gray color. We're going to kind of go with, well, no, let's go with a white. So line this, snap it to that grid right there. Oop, don't grab the grid. Snap it to that grid. And you'll see that we're taking up the 5 columns, but we're over just a little bit. And I don't want to be over just a little bit, so I'll come down to 59 points. I can be under, I just don't want to be over. So we have book.me, and then under that, I'm going to create a header background. Just going to grab the shape layer and drag out a rectangle over it like that. And the reason we're using a shape layer instead of just like dragging out a rectangle tool and filling it is because we may want to adjust the height of the background image later on. And if we're using a shape layer, Photoshop keeps that as a shape, so I can just adjust points and things like that to make it really simple. So we have book.me, and let's see. I guess we'll have our navigation up here. So let's go ahead and give this a title, or give it a title. BG. Right here, I'm going to say home, download, and bookmarks. Control A to select all of that. And I'm going to come back down to like 18 will work. And we're going to make it bold. Let me line it up to that grid right there. And you'll see we're in the gutter there a little bit. So we can either use all of this grid here, or we can expand it to, like I want to push it all the way over to the very right. And then in here, we'll just go ahead and Control A and make it float to the right. Not float to the right. Make it align to the right. And I want to add in a few spaces here. There we go. Now keep in mind, anything we do in this, we're not really just going to take that image and put it in our website. Like the logo, we could easily just make that out of text, and that'll work just fine. So very few images we're going to take from our Photoshop design. We're just doing this to get an idea of what we want to do in CSS. Okay, so I'm going to grab one of the fake product images that I created earlier for this tutorial, so I could not have to do that during the tutorial itself, because it doesn't really have a place in this type of tutorial. So I'm just going to place that image in there, and we're going to put it right there. And you'll see this coming off the column a little bit, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to hold Shift and transform it down right to fit right inside of that column. Move it up a wee bit. Then I'm going to come up here and grab me a guide, put one there, put one at the bottom of that, so we can see exactly where it's going for our content over here to match up. Now this is not our header, so we want to drag that into our body. Now over here, I'm going to create a rounded rectangle right here, I'd say. And it's going to expand that whole thing there. Double click on that, and I want to grab a color from this image. That'll work. Call this description background. New layer on top of that. Add some text, and the text is going to say save a website for later with a single click. You know, just fun to make up a product and not type correctly. There we go. Save a website for later with a single click. I want this to be like 60, 50. That might work. Later with a single click. Select all that and come over to our character palette, and then we're going to say, let's knock this down to like 48, 36, like 40. And we're going to place this right inside there. Now this doesn't really need to be in line with any specific columns, because it is going to be inside of this container that we created. So it can be anywhere inside here. But we're going to put it right there. And then below that, we're going to type download our toolbar to get started. And this is going to be like 36, regular, something like that. And we can take the color and kind of chill a little bit with it. I like that. There we go. And now we'll add a download button. So we're going to grab the rectangle tool, and I'm going to go from this point to that point. Just like that. And we're going to grab a green color, because everybody likes green for the downloads. I don't know what color green, something like that. Push it down a little bit. And then in our layers here, call this download button. Above that, we're going to add some text right in the center of this download button. It's supposed to be download. Control A, select it all. They're going to go up here in like 24 and make it a white. And now we're going to select the download text and the download button and go layer, align. We're going to align it in the vertical centers and layer, align, and align the horizontal centers. So now we have the download text directly inside of the background. Now all that's going to be done using CSS and an anchor tag. I'm going to style the link like that, so we won't have to worry about doing anything like that for the CSS. Oh, excuse me. So that's just for this mock-up presentation here. So that's pretty much it for the top of the body there. What we can do is we can go up here to View and Show and get rid of the guides. And you can see how it's going to look. You can hide the columns. And that's what we're working with up there. And that's kind of cool. I mean, it's really simple, but it's effective. You get what I want you to do whenever you visit this website. And that's kind of the goal of these kind of websites, to get people to do what you want them to do. So now we are going to work on a 3-column description thing down here. We're going to have a column here, and a column here of like maybe little features or something like that that our website offers the customer. So I'm going to say, let's turn back on our, you can use this shortcut right here, Control plus semicolon. Now let's grab another ruler, holding Shift so we get directly inside of a specific mark. And then this is where our icons are going to come into play. I'm going to File, Place. Let's see which one do I want to start with. Let's go with like this one. And you'll see that it's rather large. And we're going to take it down to about 20% and 20%. Something like that. Now with these, I don't think I'm going to have these take up their own container. I think I'm going to have these images within a container and then say image float left in that container. So we can put these anywhere we want to, but the container is going to be wrapping around it. It's not going to have a color or anything, so we don't really have to define a shape or anything in Photoshop. But keep in mind that that's going to be like that. So let's push that over to wherever we're going to want it. And for these, I want the color, add a color overlay, kind of like a gray. Nothing too poppy, but something you'll notice when you look at it. That goes within the body as well. Let's say icon. And now we're going to add in some text for our column here. Let's see, it's going to be like organize your web. That'll be the header for this little column. Like 20, and make it bold. Organize websites you love a single click. It's just a fake product, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, and we'll make it regular. And I should have done this in paragraph style, but I did not. We'll go over to the characters here, and we'll say, what's that, about 20, so like 24, maybe. Actually, we'll make this 16. something like that. Then we can duplicate what we just did there. Okay, so a little bit of math there that I failed to do would have told me that I would have been using 4 columns instead of 3 columns. I forgot I was using 16 column grid for some reason, but it got it sorted out. You'll notice nothing's really changed here. It's just 4 columns, and that's pretty much it. You can see the icons that I'm using do not share the same dimensions, but that's just because I got different icons. They're not, a specific pack or anything. So you can expect that whenever you're using individually downloaded icons. But for this case, it doesn't really matter. I'm not really, designing a website for use or anything. It's just for instruction. So moving on. What I'm wanting to do down here is I'm going to display a large number that in a real website would actually update depending on how many users are using the bar. How many people download the bar, how many people have installed the bar. It's going to be a large number, and it's going to, right below, it's going to say people using book.me. Something like that makes it look good. And over here, I think I'm going to do a popular website thing and list the most popular websites, like website domains that have received the most bookmarks or something like that. Just something to fill in the space here for the tutorial. So I'm going to create a new folder, and I want to call it popular websites. Inside that folder, I'm going to create a layer. Am I going to create a layer? I ain't going to create a layer. No. Just going to use text here. I'm going to say popular websites. Just like that. Should over to the edge there. And then below that, I'm going to have some website titles, like Mashable, and, like whatever the description is, social media use or something. And then I would have a layer. I keep making a layer, but not a layer. I would have text that says like marked 43,568 times. We'll make that a light color, and we will make it regular at like 14. We'll push that right there. Now I'll take these and duplicate. Down with it using the arrow keys, something like right there. Now I would want these to be links, and I want my links to actually have some sort of style and not green. Even though that's the color we're using, I want to go with a blue. Not like traditional blue link color, but like a some kind of blue like that. So let's Control A. Grab this color here. So we'll copy that color. Then I'll add that color to this. Control A, double click that, Control V, okie dokie. And this one will be marked 40,000. Then I will duplicate that. And you get the point. This one's marked 32,000 times. And we'll do one more. Now these aren't separated the right amount of space or anything, because we're going to do all that in CSS. Then I'm going to take all of these, holding shift, I will select that one, and take the arrow key and come down a little bit. I'd probably add in like a horizontal rule right here or something. It'll just show you how long this is, and it would span Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll expand 8 columns. Grab my selection tool here and select the top to the direct selection tool and drag over and select the top 2 points. And use the arrow keys and push them down a little bit. It's about right there. Push that up. And the color. Something like that. And then over here is where we're going to have that number. So I'm just going to have a big number. I'll just say HR for horizontal rule. It's an HTML tag. We'll use that in the HTML part of this tutorial. Close up popular websites. And I'm going to make a new folder and call it used by or something. And I'm going to make text right here that says it's been used like 14,567,371 times. It's a popular toolbar. Make it like 70 or something. Just something that catches your eye. I make it black. Is that too big? Probably too big. I don't know. I'm going to put it like right. Let's line it up with that. Something like that. We'll bring it down to 68, so within the grid there. And then we're going to say people using book.me. Control A, maybe like 16, and give it that gray color, and just make it bold. There we go. Right click, fit on screen, and that's what we have so far. It, I don't know if it really looks like a website you would ever be using, but it looks like something. And we're going to take all this and put it into HTML and CSS in a little bit. Let me go ahead and finish this up. Added a footer. Just going to be a simple copyright and a few link type of footer. I'm just going to drag this over. Goes in the footer, hide the body, and BG. Okay. Grab our zoom tool and actual pixels. New layer above that there, and we're going to add in our text links. So it's going to be home, 1, 2, 3, 4. Download, 1, 2, 3, 4, bookmarks, 1, 2, 3, 4, register, sign, I don't really know. I'm just making up stuff as I go. I'll make it white, and we will make it regular. And we'll select that layer and this layer. Layer, align, vertical centers. Oh. What I'll do is we'll go like that. Then I will say grab my direct select tool. Over here, grab these points and just push them over the edge of the canvas there. And then grab that and that. Layer, align, vertical centers. And we'll make a new text layer. And it's just going to be like Alt0169 2012 book.me. Now Alt0169 is just a quick way to use a copyright symbol. It's an alt code that creates that copyright symbol right there you'll see. We won't be using that in HTML because that is not supported in most browsers. So we'll just place it right there and do the same thing. Layer, align, vertical centers. And there we go. That's pretty much it for the design in Photoshop. I know it's nothing too special. It's going to be kind of simple to do, but that's what you're going for now in modern day design. You want everything to just be laid out and nothing too dazzle or anything, you know, just kind of simple designs. And this works. This gets out, like if this was a real product, you would have the main navigation, obviously probably not that. You would have your product display image, what your product does in a few words, the ability to use your product within a button click or two, a few features listed here, and a couple things about your product. In our case, the most websites that have been bookmarked, and how many users are currently using our product. So that's pretty much it for the design in Photoshop. I was not going to cut this up into 2 parts, but this video was very, very long, so what I'll do is I will go ahead and start working on the next one right when I finish editing this one. And I should get them up pretty much a few hours apart. We'll see. Maybe tomorrow. I don't really know how it's going to go. And it may turn into 3 parts. It just depends how it goes. It may turn into 10 parts. I don't really know. So stick around, subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you next time.